Hello and welcome to the episode on estate planning. We're just going to run through a crash course, do some definitions, not dive super deep into these things, but we'll just go over definitions and some of our experiences, and you'll probably learn something after this video.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're going to discuss why estate planning is important, no matter your age or how much money you have or how many assets you have. Something I've seen younger people say is that it might not be important because they're not an old person or wealthy.
No savings,
But it's for anyone that cares about what happens to their money, family, or health when something unexpected happens. So it's an important piece of your financial picture and your life in general.
Yeah.
All right, so what is estate planning?
Yeah, so it's planning for, I guess, the worst. And so it's planning for what happens to your assets after you pass, or planning even in this life for how you want to be cared for should something happen to you medically. Who would make those decisions if you're still alive, and you can't make those financial or health decisions? Who would be that person? So it's kind of a variety of things that estate planning's for.
Let's start with the will.
Yeah. So
the will, I'll give the definition. It's a legal document that states who gets your assets and who will care for your dependents after you die. So a will typically has everything in there about your life based on your assets or dependents. So you can appoint a guardian for your minor children if you have them. You can appoint your executor to carry out your wishes. I'll put a more defined definition of executor on the screen. So what happens if you don't have a will?
Yeah, so the state decides who gets what, and that's called intestacy. So so the state would determine who your executor is and who it may not be called executor if
executrix.
Yeah, but
or what do you think?
Or there's something that the state may call it since you don't have a will. But anyways, they appoint that person to carry it out, and then they decide what happens to it. So not ideal.
I think people. One of the things I always think about with wills is, now that I've gone to estate planning meetings, like in movies, when they read the will, that's not like the lawyer doesn't.
It's not a real thing.
The lawyer doesn't bring everyone in and they don't read it off. Like, that's not a thing. But wills are public. That's the difference between a will and trust. Won't go super deep into that. But trusts are private and wills.
It's not public until that person passes.
Yes.
And then it becomes it's public. Yeah.
But think of the will as a letter to the legal system saying, this is what I want to happen, this is where I want things to go. And if you don't have that, then the legal system will make those decisions for you. All right, what the next one, beneficiary. What is a beneficiary?
Yeah, so that's a person or entity that you name to receive specific assets when you pass. And so I think of life insurance, who gets that benefit, retirement accounts, who gets those benefits. You can also set beneficiaries on your checking and savings accounts. And so those may be called something different, like they call it a payable on death beneficiary or transfer on death beneficiary. But who gets those assets when you pass? Yeah.
So that's a super important thing when you're opening let's say a retirement account or a savings account, to name a beneficiary on there. Another little tidbit of information is that the beneficiary overrides your will, which I think is crazy. So if you let's say you put your son or daughter on your will to get this retirement account, but the beneficiary on the account itself has someone else, then this takes precedent and it goes to that other person. So just make sure that your estate plan objectives are all working together and they're all equal based on where you want them.
And I like too that you said entity, because you can set charities or other organizations as the beneficiaries of your policies and accounts. So that's kind of a cool thing as well.
And you could put multiple. You could put multiple primary beneficiaries, and let's say if those primary pass away, Then there's contingent beneficiaries. So there's so many different ways to add a beneficiary. So the next one we have POA. I'll put it on the screen, but it stands for power of attorney. So what is that?
Yeah, so that's basically a legal document that appoints who makes decisions on your behalf. So there, as we said, there's two types. There's medical and there's just general. And so the medical would be, okay, if you're, let's say, in a coma or you can't make decisions, then who is making those medical decisions on your behalf? And it's interesting. A lot of people will point one person for medical and maybe someone else for general, because people have different qualities or things that they're good at. And so, and then the general would be a lot of time like financial things and just kind of doing your daily tasks.
Yeah. So the word we use for this is incapacity, or if you're incapacitated, the power of attorney kind of steps in, and they're essentially your manager while you're incapacitated. But yeah, like you said, people will make different either family members or trusted people. Like let's say a client or a person has their daughter is like a doctor or something. That might be more beneficial for them to be the medical power of attorney, and their other child or parent or relative is good with finances, so they're that person. So definitely different things to think about, and definitely important, because if you don't have that power of attorney set up, then once again someone else will make decisions for you that you may or may not agree with. What's important with the medical power of attorney? Like, why? Like, you want that person to know if like what happens when you're incapacitated, or if you're
glad you asked, Evan. You want to have a living will. Is that right? Yeah,
essentially.
So a living will is what you desire for yourself, should you be incapacitated. So do you want to stay on life support, and in what cases do you want that to be withdrawn? Those kind of things. And so it gives the medical power of attorney peace of mind to make those hard decisions.
They're not like, what would this person want me to do? Like, it's in writing.
So stressful. So it's already there.
All right, so we kind of given a brief overview of what these things are. So what if you don't have these things?
So no will, then the state determines who gets your assets. If you have no power of attorney, then the court will appoint a power of attorney for you to do those things. If you have no living will, or AKA advanced medical directive, those are kind of interchangeable, then the doctors may perform treatments or make those decisions for or give your power of attorney kind of their advice for that. And then loved ones may have to go to court to make those hard decisions.
It's definitely you want to put these things in place so that if you do pass away, your beloved family members don't have to, not only they'll be in the grieving process and dealing with all these things, and then having to go to court and making it's a mess, and we've seen it before. All right, so how do we get started? How do we put these things in place?
So make a list of all of the things you own and all the things you owe, and kind of get those together. Set your beneficiaries on the things that you can set your beneficiaries on. We named those earlier. Make a will or update your will, and also powers of attorneys and living wills, advanced medical directives. Let your family know where you store those important documents so they can find those should anything happen. I think this was a crash course, so nothing super in depth, but I think it gives enough information for our listeners or viewers to know kind of what these things are and where they can find more information on putting those in place, because they are important. But I'll conclude with saying estate planning is essentially protecting your people, your wishes, and your peace of mind with that. So I like it.
Hope you learned something new. Thanks.